Even Kevin, if you want to just take it away. With the budget you have to go over, if you want.
Steve, you want me to jump in, or you just want to?
No, again, I want to just give a brief overview. Or Kevin's going to talk about a couple of the budgets that we're going to go over briefly, but there may be some changes on them at some point, or some requested changes, I should say. I note that again that to the extent that any of these budgets have members of the clerical union, that contract has not been settled, as you know, so those will be changed or maybe changed at some point. The clerical union is having their meeting on January 26th, and then they will then we'll set down to some dates, and I hope to have that one in the library contract ready for town meeting. I hope not going out too far on that, but I think these are fairly benign coming to you. So hopefully, Kevin, take it away.
Sounds good. First budget is the treasurer's budget. On the treasurer's budget, we are recommending a decrease of $1,568 for next year.
Evan loves that. Looking at me, smiling already.
Personal services decreased $2,228. It does include a 3% increase for the town treasurer. It includes one step increase for a member of the clerical union. The other clerical union member, there is no COLA involved here yet, so that will be coming at a later point in time. I wanted to point out that if you look at the year-to-date figures for expenditures, they are high. We did have a person retire at the beginning of this fiscal year. Longtime employee had 30 plus years in, so there was a payout. We will be back for a reserve fund transfer to cover that at the end of this fiscal year. Couple small increases, $150 for printing and binding, which is used to advertise outstanding checks in the Wakefield item. Also $500 for office supplies due to increased costs. Major expenses within this budget, $13,000 for tax title. That's for attorney's fees and land court costs. $7,500 for bank charges, which is the cost to maintain the town's banking accounts and cost of checks. I do want to point out they do collect tax title revenue in the treasurer's office. So far, year to date for fiscal 24, they've collected over $122,000 in receipts. Last year they collected $234,000. So they are bringing in some money to cover their costs. Total budget request for fiscal 25 is $237,756.
So I got a couple of questions.
Yep.
What does the paymaster do? So that title. What's the function of that?
They are in charge of handing out checks.
Distributing them checks, handing them out physically?
Well, that's
opposed to mailing them out? Yeah.
That was historically, but
it's one of these legacy type of titles or something, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Steve, so I understand you mentioned that the treasurer is a part-time position. I know it's an elected position.
Elected position, yeah.
And luckily you got a qualified treasurer. He's elected, but
absolutely, yeah.
I see his office there up on Albion Street, CPA and attorney. Does he come to the meetings? I've yet to meet him in the couple of years I've been on the finance committee. Is he how part-time is he? Is he half-time or?
Well, he goes to the treasurer's office every day. Yeah. I will tell you that because I see his car there every morning when I come in, around 7-ish. And then, you know, during budget season more, I mean, he was in my office today for about an hour and a half because we were on a rating call with S&P.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
how did that go? How did that go?
Well, I think it went very well. I think Kevin would agree. One of the comments they made was, well, we really don't have any we don't have a lot of upward room with you guys, which I thought was a good comment.
Yeah.
You know, we're with AAA, so.
Right, yeah,
But I think that from an hourly basis, where this position isn't so much, you know, with a lot of transactions and interaction with the public, like the town clerk, which is elected, like the tax collector, which is
Yeah.
elected. It is, you know, more, those are really full-time positions. This is a more part-time position.
yeah. No, I'd love to be able to throw some questions at him sometime. I'm
Oh,
not
sure.
questioning his commitment to the town. It's just I like to interact, especially on the high school. And of course, you know, my concern about the financing of the high school and
Yeah.
where he thinks rates are gonna go, whatnot. Hopefully, you know, we're gonna be in a better place on that, you know?
Yeah, we did, we're our surveillance call, which was about, another $30 million in bans that we put out, with a call date in September.
Mhm.
This year, thinking that maybe, maybe rates will be a little bit lower then, and we'll fix them at that, we'll bond them in some new money, and then, but you know, as I know, Ed, who knows, right?
We don't have the crystal ball. We could just cross our fingers and make the best projection. Yeah.
John, Kevin and I, John McCarthy, Kevin and I, and Peter Frazier from Hilltop.
Peter, yeah.
We during these bonding cycles where it seems like we're constantly together. But I will certainly set up a meet and greet with you.
Yeah, at some point, I just love, you know, I love to talk about those issues.
Sure.
So, you pay for, I assume you're paying for your bond issuance expenses out of, say, a premium on the bond. There's nothing on the appropriation for that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Which is the right way to go. Okay, those are all my questions for Treasurer.
Thank you, Ed. I also might point out in there, and Kevin did mention on the there was a retirement payout in there, and you will note that the personal services is down a little bit from what was appropriated last year, and that's because a new employee came in. They're certainly not at the top step,
Sure.
so that showed that being a little bit lower. So.
Concom.
Next budget, the Conservation Commission budget. We're recommending an increase to this budget of $1,547. The increase in personal services is $1,532, which is a 3% increase for the two part-time conservation agents. Small increase on the memberships and dues, $15. We do offset this budget, $4,500 from wetland filing fees. I do want to point out, on this budget, if you see on the front page, the departmental request for fiscal 25 was higher than what is recommended by the town administrator. Conservation was looking to increase hours to make one of their agents full-time, 30 hours a week. Just a little history, going back to last year, the two part-time people, historically, they were working 10 hours a week. Then we increased the hours last year. One person was working 19 hours a week and one person was working 5 hours a week. They're requesting to go to full-time 30 hours a week, one person, and then a part-timer at 5 hours a week.
Well, that triggers benefits then, right?
With benefits, correct.
Well, that's the real expense right there. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where the difference is, that we're recommending that it stays at the part-time, 2 agents for a total of 24.
Oh, I support that.
I predict you will be lobbied by the Conservation Commission, as will the town council.
Okay,
So,
look forward to that.
so in total, $61,078 budget for next year, with $56,578 coming from tax levy, $4,500 from available funds.
Thanks, Kevin. You want to go to fire alarm and emergency management?
Yep, next budget is the fire alarm budget. We're recommending a $2,000 increase over the current fiscal year. The increase here is in materials and supplies. The expense for replacement parts for various routers, signals, everything has gone up. So we think that's a good ask. The total budget request for fiscal 2025 is $72,511.
I'm sure we've been over this before, but why is this its own budget? Like, is the fire alarm superintendent a firefighter?
Yes.
Why isn't this just roll? Not that it matters to the bottom line, but I'm just wondering why we don't roll it into the fire department budget.
I'll say tradition.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah,
But
there's a
also
lot of that, right?
Signals, traffic signals and things like that. I personally like having it separate. It helps me track this one better. Personally, I like it better.
Well,
A lot of places have it separate, I have to say.
yeah.
So Steve, when they're doing this work, even though they're a firefighter, does that add to overtime or anything like that?
No,
Is
this is
stipend?
This is off the fire budget. It's not overtime. This is, firefighters, as you know, they work, 24 on, 24 off, what that thing is. So this is done on off firefighter time, just like if he had a second job doing something else.
So are they a
Okay.
special municipal employee?
No. He's just a municipal employee.
Is
Is-
it covered?
It's
I'm
just
sorry.
a second, working in the second division, I guess.
Does that fly if it's the same person? So if he's working 40 hours as a firefighter and he works 12 hours on this?
Yep.
That
We-
12 hours is straight pay, not,
Yeah, we exactly, because it's not in the same division. We've never had an issue with it.
okay.
My whole time here and before.
Is it addressed in the contract at all?
No, it's a non-union position.
All right. Cool.
Which I like.
I'm sure you do. All right. Anything else on this one? Moving on. Emergency management.
Next budget is the emergency management budget. We're requesting an increase of $1,726, which is a 3% increase to the emergency management director. Everything else is level funded. Total budget request is $92,253.
And I gotta say, there's almost not a day that doesn't come by that our EMD doesn't come in with another grant for this, grant for that. So handles a lot of our filings with FEMA, is working on our all of our emergency plans and what have you. Certainly was invaluable during the COVID crisis. So this has been a great bang for our buck, in my opinion.
I know you had high praise for his name is escaping me. Is it the same
Tom
gentleman?
Walsh. Tom Walsh, same gentleman. Yeah.
Tom Walsh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And dealing with FEMA is not
Yeah.
fun.
No, we're battling with them tooth and nail right now on every penny, it seems.
Is this one of those areas where we could leverage like the assessor and other folks with other communities?
Well, I suppose we could at some point. The thing that I like about, Tom is a retired firefighter, so we do have a restriction on the number of hours he can work because
Okay.
of pension. So maybe somewhere down the road that would be, but the problem with leveraging this position is if there is a real emergency, it's a blizzard or what have you, or regional area, I want that person working in Wakefield, not spread too thin.
Yep.
Happens, so.
How many hours can he work? I thought it was pretty limited.
No, the governor did increase that. I forget what maybe Kevin.
1,200 hours in a calendar year.
Calendar, yeah.
Is it up to 1,200?
There's also, yes, 1,200 now permanently,
Okay.
which is good news. There's also an income restriction as well, which is basically the difference between his pension and the position he retired from plus $15,000, I think, and that, you know, so you can't earn more than that amount is, and nor can you work more than 1,200 hours a calendar year.
And, you know, Tom was former deputy chief in Malden, so that position I'm sure is paying pretty good right now. So
All right. If there's nothing else, inspectional services?
Inspectional services, we're requesting an increase of $15,195 over the current fiscal year. The increase in personal services is $13,965. We have 3 individuals that follow the supervisory union, so their increases are in there, and their contract has been settled. There are 2 people under the clerical in this budget. One person is at top step, so there is no increase for them until their contract settled. And there's one that is receiving a step increase. Under the expense portion, $1,500 increase under the motor vehicle allowance that was contractual. So the total budget request for fiscal 25 is $482,638.
So on the inspector positions, were they reclassified, or is that something part of the contract? They moved to the next grade, or I wasn't. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, on the last page, there was a grade increase. They went from an S12 to an S13.
Okay,
For the 2 inspectors, the plumbing inspector and the gas inspector.
okay.
Kevin, my favorite part, revenue generation. You didn't mention it.
Oh, revenue generation. This is one department that's basically the cash cow of the town the past couple of years. Last year, we set a record of about, I think it was $1 million something. And so far this year, I think we got $1.4 million in. But it's
Well, this is the time to look at the building permit fee, that's for sure. How often do you reevaluate the fees? Have you been doing that like on a regular basis, keeping up to date?
You know, Ed, a few years ago, yes, a few years ago, I brought it to town meeting, and wanted to increase the fees, of course, and was summarily beaten, so. And then
Oh, that's,
I wanted to bring it, I think I brought it to the town council, a few years after that and was beaten again.
that's too bad, because, you know, this is the time to make some money on
know.
these permit fees, and you know, we say to the citizenry, you know, you want to lessen the impact on the property taxpayer by bringing in these targeted monies. That's, to me, that's the selling point. Well, that's too bad. Yeah.
What was your proposed increase, Steve? I forget.
Oh, I forget too, but we had.
Was it like minimal or?
Yeah, it was benign, fairly benign. You know, I thought anyway.
Fine.
You know, if you're gonna build a $100,000 kitchen, right, and it costs you an extra grand in your permit fee, come on now.
Well, you know, we actually have a 2-tier system, because we basically based on square footage. So we want to hit the big developers coming in, and they get paying at a higher rate than the small homeowner trying to make repairs, you know, so.
You're lucky, you just have to go to the city council, if even that.
Yeah, yeah, well, we accepted a statute, which I got through the council about 20 years ago. There's a state statute that puts that power in the hands of the department head. And
Oh,
and I guess the council unwittingly passed it, and didn't see the ramifications of it. So that's really helped us out over the years, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we got like $15 million in building permit revenues alone last year, which is unbelievable, yeah.
oh, I know. Well, it's all at Assembly Square, a lot of it is.
Yep. Yeah,
Great spot.
come down and eat. Enjoy a meal at one of the restaurants.
And I'm sure you have a meal.
So we got the
stack.
meals tax, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Awesome.
They do have some great restaurants there. I will tell you that this department is extremely busy. Not only with some of these big projects that they have that you're seeing built now, but with a lot of homeowners coming in
Yeah.
every day. You know, what can I do? What can I do to maximize my property? Which often means a variance or a special permit and things like that.
Mhm.
So it is a very busy department. They do a real good job, and
Yeah.
where it's another position that's hard to fill.
Really hard to fill, really hard to fill, yeah.
Where Ben DeCristoforo came from Revere, so he's been a really good member of the team. So pretty happy.
This was didn't you have is this the department you had? We brought in another body because we were kind of succession planning, if you will, Steve.
Oh yeah, we did have somebody who, yes, and that when we were regionalizing, we kind of did that. That person unfortunately couldn't pass the exam, so we had to move on. But yes, we did that a few years ago.
Yeah, but the position's still there, right?
No, no, there
Oh,
is no assistant. No, because we weren't regionalizing anymore.
okay.
Oh, Steve, I think Evan's talking about, we did bring in the extra clerical.
Oh yeah, okay, but that person's still there.
Yes,
Yeah. Well, I thought, weren't you planning for a retirement or something?
I think that is within the next 2 years or so, or earlier, the senior clerical member of that department who kind of knows where everything is will
Yeah.
be retired.
Got it. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure memory was serving
No, you're pretty good.
for once. All right. Moving on. Veterans.
veterans budget, I will point out that this may change or it may be tabled, at the upcoming town council meeting.
The town council hasn't seen this budget. That was gonna be my question on this one, right?
They have seen it. It's in their.
Oh, they've seen it?
It's in their Govinda package. They have not deliberated on it. Because
Oh, I'll let Kevin continue because I have a comment. Go ahead.
Okay, so on this budget, as presented here, we're looking to decrease this budget $16,213. Small increase in personal services, $338. That's a step increase for a part-time admin person up at the Veterans Department. Under contractual services, we increased the professional services line item, and that is for the shared services. We share the director and the VSO with Melrose.
and Saugus.
Actually, I should say we share the directors, and we are charged fully for the Wakefield VSO. So that's the small increase there. We did increase printing and binding a couple $100, postage a couple $100. But the big decrease here was under the recipient pay. I did talk with the Wakefield VSO. He was fully in line with the reduction of $20,000. Last year, I think we had 12 recipients on average per month. We're down to 10. And he concurs that the numbers have been dropping statewide. So he was fully on board with that reduction. So.
Yep, I mean, I looked on the DOR website today to look at the statewide numbers. So I remember we had this heated debate a couple of years ago about the appropriation of 170,000, and what happened, of course, in fiscal 2023, we spent 95,527 as opposed to the 170 that was appropriated. And the arguments, we made, and Dan Sherman and myself in particular, statewide decline in veterans caseloads. I mean, the demographics are changing, and this is, in fiscal 2023, statewide veterans benefits reimbursed by the state were roughly 35 million. Fiscal 2024, it ended up as roughly 30 million. It was about a 14% drop in veterans reimbursements throughout the state. And the same trend has happened. Of course, we're following the same trend here in Wakefield. So it looks to me that this proposed $90,000 request is realistic. Right now, it looks like we're on a pace to spend, you know, about 80,000, right? We're halfway through the fiscal year, 38,000. So you expect that this might change before the town council? See, I think the town council is a few years ago where no one wants to be against veterans, but, you know, at the same time, we want to be realistic on what we can actually expend, you know, so. I hope the caseload numbers, you know, are put forward, both in Wakefield and statewide when it gets to the town council. But I think that's 90,000 is a realistic, quite realistic appropriation.
Yeah, where the town council is going to table this on Monday night. Well, I think they are. I'm going to bring in the veterans agent because there might be some other items there that we need to flush out. So I doubt the FinCom will be hearing this on your meeting on the
Okay,
25th. But we wanted to at least show you what we had at this point.
yeah.
So,
So Steve, there was a substantial increase 22 to 23. So what
there
accounts?
might have been people not coming in during COVID too.
Right.
Yeah,
I think we also went through we might have had a not a great BSO at that time either. I forget.
so if my memory serves me correct, basically anybody comes in, even if it's not budgeted, we fund them anyway and we make up the difference.
Our practice has been that no veteran will be turned down. And if need be, I'll come back for reserve fund or supplemental funding in the spring. We have had a few years where we have requested reserve fund transfers, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 years ago now, Kevin, I think.
Yeah, maybe even longer.
We do not turn any veterans away. No, correct.
Which you can't do throughout the fiscal year, reserve fund transfer. If you had to.
If I had to, I could come in.
Yeah.
And I will point out, with regards to the recipient benefit, the town does reimburse the town up to 75% of those costs.
Of eligible benefits, yeah.
Right, we
What the
do
state
get-
considers eligible, yeah.
We do get money back from the state with regards to that line item.
Statute doesn't allow you to deny eligible benefits anyway, right? I mean, even if you did, say you appropriate $90,000 and you run through it and fiscal year's not over, if you have an eligible veteran who comes in to claim benefits, you still have to pay him out, don't you, by statute?
I believe so.
Yeah, you do, as long as it meets the eligibility requirements, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Ed's analysis there. It seems like a reasonable number.
So the number budgeted, is that the net of the reimbursement, or is that the total funds used and then we get reimbursement to offset that?
That is the gross number, that the money that comes in from the state to reimburse us goes directly into the general fund,
Got it.
not into this budget.
Right.
Yep.
And it's in arrears too, right, Kevin? It's a year later.
Right, it runs like 12 to
It's,
16 months.
yeah, it's over a year lag on that, you know, you get a budget gross, you know.
Okay, streetlights.
Streetlights, we are recommending level funding. Total budget request, $131. Several years ago, the light department got a state grant to put in some LED streetlights. They're currently recapturing the installation cost to put it in throughout the town. So we expect this dollar amount to go down, probably not until fiscal 27, once those capital costs are paid off, probably in the vicinity of somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000.
Anything there from the committee?
Well,
Historical Commission also level funded?
Level funded request is $2,000.
Anything there?
No.
Unemployment.
Unemployment, we're recommending level funding at $75,000. We do break that 75,000, 25,000 for the town, 50,000 for the schools. And we've told the schools that anything over, their 50,000 or over the budget of 75,000, that they would have to pick up within their budget, so they have to transfer money somewhere out of their budget back into this budget to cover that, any shortfall, so we stay at $75,000. If you see current year to date, we are maxed out on this budget.
Yeah.
And I've
What's
talked-
going on over there?
What has happened is, over the past several years, there's been
We're in a
quite
battle.
a fraud,
Yeah, yeah.
and
We're in a perpetual battle, really. Yeah,
we've been contesting quite a bit of the unemployments
yeah, yeah.
that has come through on the bills. The state finally came and said, you know, if you don't start paying something on some of these charges, that they were gonna start whacking us on some of our state aid, so we are getting current on, some of the issues that what was happening with unemployment. So there is a lot of catch up in what we've paid to date. A lot of it is with regards to schools and some of the charges that we got for after-school programs for some of the instructors or teachers that were doing after-school programs.
Are they full-time teachers?
Uh,
Are they part-time and then you lay them off and they claim and yeah?
yeah,
Do you have an outside company doing the work, analyzing the claims, or are we just doing it
Yes.
ourselves?
UTMC.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So a lot of it had to do with let's say if you were and I want to pick on teachers, pick on any town employee that had a second job. Let's say you worked as a bartender, okay? And the bars were closed during COVID, okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People applied for unemployment, and went through and they were just being approved willy-nilly. They weren't even being looked into, and the Division of Unemployment Insurance started to we're charging it back to the city and towns. Or this is probably happened in Somerville too, to you, Ed.
It has, yeah, yeah.
And it's crazy, and they didn't send us a bill from like March until August. And then
Yeah.
in August, they sent us a bill with all these things, these charges, including fraudulent charges,
Yep.
including supplemental income charges that had nothing to do with us, because we paid everybody during COVID.
Mm.
No one got laid off because of COVID or wasn't paid. So, we've been working through that, arguing with them, tooth and nail. The federal government, I believe, gave a lot of money to the state that should have wiped this all out and didn't. So we're still, maybe there was some that were after school programs that didn't happen, that I guess you could make a claim on that, but we're chipping away at that. But as I've said to my council, they may come and take me away someday, and hopefully you'll visit me, because I'm not paying it.
I remember that. I was gonna ask you. I thought they were making you pay it now.
Well, we've gone through some of this and paying it, but it's painstaking to fight every one of them.
Yeah.
And I had people, that I went to see that worked in this building that were just, listen, this says that you're unemployed, you're still here. That was fraudulent for a lot of people. It was awful, horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no one knew. Maybe
So,
I could stop it if I had the bill, right? If I got the bill every month, I could say, why is Kevin Gill's name on?
Right.
He's still here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many mistakes on these bills too. I mean, you have to go through them with a fine tooth comb.
And the state will say, well, pay us, and when we get that money back, we'll
Yeah, then we'll reconcile,
yeah, no,
hopefully.
12 to 18 months later, right?
no, if that.
Or never? Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. All right.
So I guess the question is, if the 62,000 or so is makeup or includes prior period unemployment expense, how much is still potentially outstanding? So Do we have any?
I think I talked to our HR,
What did they say we owe them?
and it's still being reconciled. The last I saw that it was, there might have been like 120,000 in claims that we're going through to weed out what is and what isn't fraud or someone that was not supposed to get paid. I do want to point out when COVID was going on, there was a period of time when the state didn't send us a bill, and this went on for months.
Yeah,
And after like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 months without getting a bill, you received a bill one day that was 50 pages of claims that it was just totally off the wall. So it's taken quite a bit of time and effort for people to work to get some type of working number to start paying some of these claims.
All right. We want to take a look at reserve?
Reserve fund level funded. We haven't spent anything year to date. I have mentioned one, which would be the treasurer's office, the longtime employee did get a buyout. And historically, we try to do most, if not all of our reserve funds at the end of the fiscal year to see if there's any type of savings that can offset some of the expenses that have happened. So for fiscal 25, we're looking to level fund it $400,000.
Any questions there?
I just think that over the next few years, we may look, as our budgets get bigger, increasing this a little bit.
yeah, I was gonna ask you if you had some target, like relation to
It's
revenue or whatnot in the financial policies or.
Yeah, and I'd like to probably see it 0.5% of revenues less chapter 70.
Yeah.
Which would make this a little bit higher. And I think over the next couple of years, we might, go 450, 500. But we've had a good track record the last few years, so I've been, budgeting has been pretty good. So, but something to think about on the horizon.
Mhm.
All right. Medical.
Last budget is the professional medical budget. We're recommending an increase of $1,500 over the current fiscal year. This pays for pre-employment physicals, return to work physicals, DOT physicals. Some of the physicals can be quite expensive, where police and fire have to go through a more extensive medical clearance. And due to the increased costs that we're seeing, we decided to bump that up a little bit, $1,500. The total budget request is $15,300, with $11,500 coming from the tax levy and $3,800 coming from a water and sewer transfer.
Any comments there?
The transfer from water and sewer for this, is that actual expenditures? So,
No, that's budgeted. And what we do is, when you see the recommendation book for a town meeting, that those dollar amounts will be in the water and sewer budget. There's actual line items for that.
I was gonna ask you, Kevin, do you have an indirect cost rate plan with DOR on the enterprise funds? Is that how you figure these transfers out, or I didn't know that?
No, we try to go as actual as possible. So for the
Okay.
year that you try to keep track of what the expenditures are coming from each division.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to move on to the minutes? Is there anything we want to revisit from the other budgets, or are we We good to go. All right, the minutes, everybody, get a chance to look at those. I'll accept a motion, unless we have any comments on them. Any corrections or anything?
No, this will get you out of the doghouse, right, Evan?
Get me out of the doghouse?
Yeah, then, who was it that was giving you a bad time about our minutes?
I don't remember, but I remember somebody asked and I said, I think Steve's always done them.
I did these. What's wrong with these? These are pretty
I
good.
think they're great. And even better, I didn't have to do them, so I love them. They couldn't be better.
Oh, motion to approve the minutes from the January 4th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. And then committee comments. Anybody get something to get off their chest? I'd hear more Aruba stories if you got them, Steve.
I don't know, man, sat in the sun, all morning, read a book, went to the bar, sat in the sun, went to the bar. went to
Nice. Sounds like it was well spent.
swim.
Well, the bar is right there on the beach, which is great. you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It was, 10 of us went. It was a nice family trip.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you need me at the next town council meeting, Steve?
We always need you, Evan,
Oh, yeah.
Monday night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Monday night.
thank you.
Cool.
In just in case they have any questions. So that was part of the, I think the finance committee felt years ago that, they didn't have a chance to, chime in to the town council before they voted on the stuff, so they wanted that done.
Cool. All right, I'll see you Monday night then.
Okay.
Anybody have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, guys, thanks.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.
We'll see you at the MMA, Ed.
See
Hopefully.
you tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forward to it.